I'm going to start off with before daily quiz. Want to go through our assignment. I'm going to put the answers up here. You're going to see if you're right. You're going to see if you're wrong. You're going to check whether you're right or wrong. We will go through whatever questions you have, then we'll do the daily quiz. When all you do is copy what we have up here. A, I see you doing it. I make a note of it. You get a 1 out of 5 on you did your homework because you didn't actually do it. Do it for real. 2, it's not helping you any, as evidenced by our quizzes. Please, be honest with this. This is just to see, do you know what you're doing and are you doing it right? So, first we'll switch that over. Always easier to read. And we say, at the bottom of page 22, we started with estimation. Go. Check your stuff. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I did the easy on this happened to me once. Yeah, it's asking for you to do your homework when you're so busy with other stuff. So I have technically it down.
Yeah.
Would you count those wrong or? Because those are just not here. Just
You just,
so do you have the right answer lane?
you either say square root of 81 or you say 9.
You said 81 or 9.
Square root of 81 or 9.
For the bottom, yeah, that's what I put. But on the top, I put in between 81 and 100.
You know what?
Would you count that
I
wrong?
would take it because they were a little ambiguous. They were saying what? If you're just talking about the radicand, you're right. I'd take it. I mean, you know what you were doing. It's just their blanks were a little goofy. Okay. Okay. Good thing that we usually have a spare. Yeah. Do we need to go through any of those 4? Did everyone still have their perfect square list? Okay. Then let's try simplifying them. Check it. So most of this was just look it up. And then the variable stuff, we kept cutting them in half. Because the square root of an exponent is just half of that exponent.
Do you think you can zoom in on 28?
It's a 5c to the 8th. Okay. Now, I know that we usually have trouble with words, so I'm going to talk about words. They just straight up told me the area is this. So I'll replace the area with this. Hey, what's 5 divided by 5? 1. 30 divided by 30.
1.
Pancake divided by pancake. 1. Pi divided by pi. 1. No, literally 1. Pi divided by pi is 1. Is 1. And we're doing whatever I do to one side, do to the other? No. Pi is close to 3.14. Pi is the ratio of circumference to diameter. I can't say the number because it goes on forever. 3.1415926. Yeah. Approximately 3.14, yes. Another really good approximation of pi, y'all got a calculator? 22 sevenths. 22 sevenths. Take a calculator and do 22 divided by 7.
It's going to be pi, isn't it?
It's close to it. 22 divided by 7. Okay, so it's 3.14 with a decimal trained past it. So if you just need an approximation without stopping at 3.14, sometimes you can use that. Okay? But either way, if I take big, long, infinite, ugly number and divide it by the same big, long, infinite, ugly number, 1. No bubble pop fart. So then I get something squared makes 121. What squared makes 121? Okay, that's where that comes from. But I had to divide the pies out of there first. The next one. Dude. No. Bad. If I had a squirt bottle, I would get you right now.
Okay.
Bad. Okay. Says area of the inner rectangle is square root of 225. What is the square root of 225? 15, right? You got your list. So if this is 15, they said the inside, the inner rectangle, is 15 square centimeters. To find the area of the shaded region, you probably remember this from middle school, I hope. Do you remember doing, we called it like donut problems, where I'd have the whole thing with the hole taken out of the middle, and I would ask you, what is the area of the shaded area, the area of the donut? And you would take the area of the whole circle minus the part that's not there. Okay? If I asked Dylan, how much pizza do you have? Well, the whole thing was 4 pieces. 2 of them are gone. Therefore, he has 2 pieces. Okay? If I said, your paycheck will be $200, but I have to take $42 out for taxes and all kinds of other junk. You take the whole thing minus the part that you don't get, right? That's how I do this. I take the whole rectangle and I'll subtract the little bitty one that doesn't matter. Do you remember how to find area of a rectangle? Area of a box? Well, that's if it's a whole 3-dimensional box. If it's just a rectangle, just length and width, because it doesn't have a height, right? So what is 5 times 16?
80.
So the whole thing is 80, and I'm going to subtract, you said 15 was the area of the box in the middle. That's where that comes from, okay? We always called them the donut problems because you would take the donut hole out of the donut. Speaking of donuts, Kevin was on me enough about it. Donut Fridays are back. If y'all want to wander down here sometime tomorrow morning, I'll have a couple boxes of donuts over there, just like Pop-Tarts. He actually has a reminder written down. Just like the Pop-Tarts, throw $1 in the thing, grab a donut. Depending how hungry you are, throw 5 in there, grab 5 donuts, walk away, just one down like Homer Simpson. Okay. But it's something nice. Like years ago, I had an Algebra 2 class. We did a word problem that involved something about like having breakfast items for a fundraiser or whatever. And a girl says, "Can we just do that?" What? Can we just have food? Yeah. The donuts are on sale every Friday at Safeway, so I put in a standing order. If kids actually like it, then I'll just get more. Depending on the year, I've gotten anywhere between 3 and 8 dozen donuts on any given Friday. Yeah, there was one year where kids were just all about it. Like I would go through 6 dozen donuts before 9 a.m. Yeah, in a heartbeat. But it all goes to Game Club, right? So if it's your thing, go for it. I would recommend coming down here before first hour if that's the case, because I got a full class of 20 for pre-calc, and upperclassmen tend to have more money than sophomores. So, all right, down at the bottom we had. No, it's blinking the pages because I'm scrolling the pages. If I drop something, it's got this formula for how long it's going to smack the ground. Find the approximate time it takes for something to fall 500 meters. So I look in here, where do I see the word meters again? Distance is meters. Okay, where do I see the word distance? Oh, so D is just 500. That's it. So T is square root of 2 by 500 over 9.8. So you just grab a calculator. What's 2 times 500? 1,000. So take 1,000 divided by 9.8.
Divided by what?
9.8, because I'm just doing the order of operations up here. 1,000 divided by 9.8.
102.0408.
And then the decimal goes on, right? So 102 point something, take the square root of that something. Well, if I'm doing the square root of 102 point something, that's our estimation problem. 102-ish is somewhere between the square root of 100 and the square root of 121, right? 100 and 121 were on our perfect square list.
Yep.
102-ish is between there, but it's closer to 100 than it is to 121, so no, I know my answer is going to be closer to or about 10 seconds. Think about that, falling for 10 seconds. Anyone fallen from, not just like, I fell off the couch. Oops. Has anyone fallen off of something taller? Okay. I fell off the roof of my house. This was when I was like 14. Off the roof of my house with my rib cage directly onto the ladder that was on the ground. I cracked ribs. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot more than a house. Okay. Can you imagine falling for 10 seconds?
Yes.
Really? All right, everyone hold your breath. Ready? Go. I'm still falling. Now you hit.
That was nothing.
Can you imagine that sensation of falling for that long? It ain't the fall that hurts. It's the sudden stop at the end. Okay? Yes, it does. That's why your entire body can be turned to paste if you hit the water from a high enough altitude. Okay. Perfect squares and square roots. It was just, remember, the perfect square is the bigger number. The square root is the smaller number that gets squared to make it. So, now that we got that out of the way, y'all got your notebooks? Go. Daily quiz.
Calculator? No? Calculator?
You should not need your calculator for any of this. Just your perfect square list.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you got that perfect square list. Use it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can't see.
Oh. Well, I can't make that go away until it actually opens. Hold on.
I'll just do the one below.
There. It'll be okay, though. We got rid of LMA. This is a lot faster now. Use your perfect square list. Go find a problem that looks just like this. Okay, examples 1, 2, and 3. Go find one that looks just like it. There was a bottle gnome in my desk. Get your head up, Braden.
What? Scared me. No kidding, it scared all of us. Oh.
You can still write this down in a notebook, bud. The packet makes life easier. It is not requisite. You can do everything in here in your notebook. As long as you label what you're doing, you're good. Anyone still going? Fairly quick? One potato? Okay. Round one. Just look it up on your list. What's squared in 289? That's it. Oh yeah, that's right. I got to turn that off. Okay. Give me a second. Smart ink. Yeah, great. Smart ink settings. You here, office. Does not affect. Does not do that. Apply. Okay. All right. Then we'll get rid of you, and we'll restart Office. My drive. Include teacher. Daily quizzes. Okay. Next one. Take it in pieces. What's the square root of 64? 8. And then, what do I square to make a to the 6th? To the 3rd, right? Because if I have a to the 3rd and square it, I get a in the 6th. That means the square root of a in the 6th is, work backwards, a to the 3rd. Then you get that handy little trick that says if I'm taking the square root of a variable, I'm just going to cut it in half. So what's half of 14? 7. Now 72. I go to my perfect square list and I see, well, 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. 72 is somewhere in between them. Is 72 closer to 64 or 81? 64. So I'm going to say this is about 8. Because it was closer, since 72 is closer to 64 than 81, that means its square root is closer to 8 than 9. At least that's how we did them last week. So, points. Did you get this? Did you say about 8? Not just 8 point blah, 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 because that's what my calculator told me. That isn't what we were doing last week. And then, each of these as pieces. Did you get this one, this one, this one? Okay? There you go. There's your 5. Something out of 5. All right? Now, I'm kind of torn because I know we need practice with decimals, and we will need practice with decimals forever. I'm betting this stuff went okay. Yes. We seem to be okay with this. So remember, we had to monkey with our quiz schedule before. So what we're gonna have is, because one of them we did, what was it, 6 days and then the quiz instead of 5 like we were supposed to. I'm gonna do 4 days and then a quiz this time, which means we will have our next quiz on Wednesday. That's important because y'all know what Thursday is next week? That's the week after. It's the end of the midterm. And I want to have at least 2 quizzes in the grade book before midterm grades. So it's not just one quiz is essentially your grade. At least we got 2 in there. Okay? So that means we have today and Monday for lessons. I don't know if we're good on the stuff that we've done. I also know that a good chunk of you are missing a lot of stuff. But there's been more than ample time in class to do it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next thing today. And then on Monday, I'm going to decide whether we do more practice with that thing or we have some work time and review. I'm not sure yet, but I think we're okay to move into the next thing today. Remember when I said everyone needs a notebook or a folder, something where you can keep all your stuff? And we don't really have a curriculum. This is all just, quiet YouTube. This is all pirated stuff that I stole from other schools. I got to go get more pirated stuff. I'm going to run to the copier and grab something real quick, okay? Because what we're doing today is not actually in our notebook. So, don't burn anything for 3 minutes.
There you go, Randy.
When you're gonna be bouncing up the wall, you're gonna walk in and sit in the head.
What are you doing? Hey, man. Yes. Don't you, Chloe? She deserves it. Yeah.
She probably don't know how to shoot it though.
If that hit me, you would not want to.
Hey, quiet kid, don't mess
You're like a kid.
Wow, Dylan.
Thank you.
Obi. This is cool. This is cool, kids. I don't have a racket for that. I don't have a racket for that. Yeah, wait, what? I go on. What? Want to play a little game? Huh?
Why can't you just leave me alone?
It was a joke, calm down.
She clearly doesn't take it as a joke, right?
We're
Did you
making fun of
apologize?
her. not be. Come on, Brian, say
Yeah, but that's the way that she took it, so you can apologize.
sorry. Good boy. Kevin should not be fun.
Yeah, shut up.
No. Syrian. Don't talk. One stick.
No bubble pop part. No bubble pop part.
Two stick.
Really?
I'll do it.
Hey, look at that. Don't need your packet for this.
I didn't get one.
When? I can't remember if I put down one or two on the table.
Everyone got one? Okay. Then you go away. You go away. You go away. You get over here and we say PDF. Womp. 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 All right. Everyone got that perfect square list and a calculator on hand. This is the part where you go back over there. Yeah.
I can tell he doesn't want you.
Oh,
You don't get what you want in life.
that or his children have aged him and he's tired and his knees are blown out and it's just hard to get off the couch.
Yeah.
That too?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Everyone got their calculator on hand. I would like you to tell me, what is the square root of 441?
21.
Okay. 441 square root is 21. I want you to use that same button and tell me, what is the square root of 28?
5.29.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's 2 square root of 7. And you say, dude, what?
I was trying to figure out how to pronounce this.
Okay, now some of you have scientific calculators that are going to, oh yeah, I always make more, I just forgot because, I forgot 2 kids just walking around the room. Just like you can simplify fractions, you can simplify radicals. And this is something that isn't in our packet, so we have to do it separately. I would like all of you to be on this front page here. It says 1.4b, so second part to it, starting with square root of 28. Now, just like I would never leave something like this as an answer, right? What do 3 and 15 have in common?
They both can be multiplied. Or divided.
Divided by 3, right? So this divided by 3 is 1, this divided by 3 is 5. So I would never say this. I would reduce my answer. Well, what we're going to do is the same thing with radicals, with square roots. They can be simplified, just like I don't try to smash those together and just call it 0.2. No, I leave it as a fraction. If I have the square root of 28, I want to break 28 up into numbers such that something can come out of radical land. Okay? So here's what the square root symbol does. You're asking what squared makes this thing. A, don't poke holes in my stuff. Like that's literally me paying for that so that kids have a tactile feedback and aren't freaking out in class when they're stressed. A square root asks the question, what squared makes this number? What squared makes this number? Think of it like radical jail. If I had the square root of 36, I could rewrite that as 6 times 6. There is a level 2 guard standing in the door of radical jail. No one gets past me. Unless 2 of the same thing tag team them. So they're both going to tag team the level 2 guard. One of them dies in the process, his buddy gets scot-free. One of you is going to die in the attempt, but one of you gets out of radical jail. Okay? This is what we've been doing. If I say the square root of 441, since I can write that as 21 by 21, there's a pair of them, then one of them gets out. You have to have a buddy to get out of jail. Okay? So here, well, 28, that's not a number squared, so I rewrite it. Do y'all remember factor trees?
No.
You will as soon as I do it, and you'll hear the collective groan from the group. What times what makes 28? Any two things that multiply to make 28. 14 and 2. What times what makes 14?
72.
What times what makes 2?
1.
Oh, it's 1 and 2. And 1 times something won't change. It's still a 2, right?
2 times 1.
2 times 1. 2 times 7. I can rewrite square root of 28 as the square root of 2 by 2 by 7. Because that's the stuff at the ends of my branches. Kind of look familiar? I hope. Factor trees?
Oh, no. No. I remember this somewhere. I just can't remember.
Okay. So here's what you do. I took the mob that was in radical jail and I split them up so I can see who's all in there. Do I see a pair of anything? Do I see a buddy that can attack the guard, that can get out of radical jail? I see a pair of 2s. So they rush the guard, only one gets out. And I call it 2 square root of 7. 7 doesn't have a buddy. He has to stay in jail.
Too bad for 7.
Too bad for 7. Okay?
So it's just like normal debate.
It's very similar to how we would reduce fractions, except you're working with square numbers instead of divisible numbers. Okay? It's very similar. So I'm going to rewrite this again. There are several ways you can write this. Okay? Option 1 says I break this up. We said 14 to 7 to. Now I can rewrite this as the square root of 2 by 2 by 7. And we took a pair of 2s. One of them got out. So I'd call it 2 square root of 7. A lot like when we reduce fractions. Right? You take the top part and the bottom part, numerator and denominator. They both change a little, but they're both still there. You have an inside and an outside part. They're both still there. They just got smaller. The other way to do this is why I wanted you to have your calculator with, and your perfect square list with. Okay? I would like you to find what is the biggest perfect square under 28.
25.
25. Okay? Grab the calculator. 28 divided by 25. Does it work? Okay, so it doesn't go in evenly. Go down to the next one. 16. Take 28 divided by 16. Does it work?
No.
Go to the next one. Yep, we're getting there. Try 9. Does it work?
No.
Try 4.
Yes, it does work.
So what I can also do is I can rewrite square root of 28 as 4 times what? The reason I do that is because I've now found the biggest perfect square that goes into 28. What is the square root of? No, Austin, I swear I will be. Been dealing with that kid for like 4 years now. All right. What is the square root of 4? 2. Well, isn't that kind of what we said up here? The square root of 4 is 2. I'm able to rewrite it. Try again. Let's try that method again. 68. What is a perfect square below 68?
64.
64. So I would like you to start guessing and checking. You're going to get better with these the more familiar you get with the numbers. Take 68 divided by 64. Does it work?
No.
Nope.
How are you so...
He's just typey, that's all. Okay, maybe he spends a little too much controller action. His thumbs are buff. I don't know. Okay, so you're going to keep doing that. Try 64. Nope. Try 49. You work your way down. Does 49 work?
No.
Nope. 36.
No.
25.
No.
Ooh. 16?
No.
9?
No.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 4 times what?
17.
So I rewrite this as 4 times 17. Now, I need to make this as clear as possible. Do not say 32 times, or not 32, 34 times 2. Don't do this. Bad. Now here's why. It's not just any two multiples. Are 34 or 2 on your perfect square list? Is 4 or 17 on your perfect square list? Yes. I need to break it up into a perfect square and a not perfect square. Just like when I had 3/15. What I was really doing was taking 3 over 5 times 3. And I was crossing those out. I was looking for what went into both. It had to be a special number. What is the square root of 4? So, square root of 4 is 2. I take a 2 outside. This is 2 square root of 17. That's one way to do it. I could also break up 68, factor tree style. This is how you do it when you're stuck. I have to do this with some numbers. I'm pretty good with numbers. I have to do this sometimes. So what's something times something that makes 68? Or what's something I know 68 is divisible by?
2.
A lot of kids will say 2 because they see that 8 at the end, so they know it's an even number. Okay.
It's actually 4.
2 and 34. We're going to keep going. They're both work. 2 is with 1 and 2. What about 34?
2. Divided by 2 is 4. It just makes it...
2 and 17. Can I break up 17? No. So now I can rewrite this 68 as 2 by 2 by 17. And I look for a pair. I see a pair of 2's. One gets out of radical jail. In either case, I still end up with 2 square root of 17. 2 on the outside, 17 on the inside. Y'all got your perfect square list?
Yes, I have it right here.
I would like you, somewhere near the perfect square list, to write out these numbers. These are called primes. Okay, the difference between a prime number and a composite number? Composite number would be like 6. I can say 6 is 6 times 1, but I can also say 6 is 2 times 3. There is more than one way to make it. Prime numbers, the only way you make this number is 1 in itself. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, 31, 37. Yeah, we'll just stop there. If you end up going past that, you're probably in trouble anyway. Okay? I would like you to write those down. Because here's what we're looking for. When you do that prime factorization, that factor tree, you hit the end of the branch when you hit one of those numbers. Because they can't be broken up. There is no way to make 19 other than 1 times 19. There's a lot more. I just stopped there because I ran out of board. Yeah. I don't want to put them side by side because someone might think it's like our perfect square list. Okay. In fact, it takes a lot of work to make a prime once you go past certain numbers, because the bigger the number is, the more likely there's something weird that went into it. When I go up into the millions, the odds that 73 was a factor increase. A couple years back, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I remember seeing an article where, was it MIT or Caltech? They chained together supercomputers for, they ran calculations for days on end. You know when you get, when Frank gets the spinning wheel of death up there? You know when you get the blue screen of death on your computer? Okay. Loading, loading, loading. You go eat your pizza rolls, you come back an hour later, and it's like 2% more. Okay? They did a calculation with supercomputers, like a bunch of computers chained together the size of our commons. And they had to have that sucker running for days on end to find one more prime number. Because they've gotten so big now. Like we know all the primes up to a certain spot. We don't have to worry so much. I doubt we'll ever get a prime number past 50. So, well, after this, there's 41, 43, and 47. I doubt we'll ever get past that. So, I want you to write these down because when we do these prime factor trees, we're going to look for these numbers because that tells me I'm at the end of the branch. Okay? So, 60. What times what makes 60?
10 times 6.
Okay. Does 3 times 20 also work? You know what? I'm going to do them simultaneously. I heard 3 and 20. I heard 10 and 6. What times what makes 10? What times what makes 6? What times what makes 3? Isn't that one of my prime numbers?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the End of the branch, end of the branch, end of the branch, end of the branch, end of the branch. What times what makes 20?
5 times 4.
5 is a prime number, end of the branch. What times what makes 4?
2.
Look at the numbers in boxes, both ways that I did it. Both of them are 2 by 2 by 3 by 5. Both of them are. So when someone else says 10 and 6, and you're like, nuh-uh, 3 and 20, goon, you're both right. Just follow it all the way to the end of the branches. Then, do I see anything in there that has at least a pair of stuff? Pair of 2s. They rush the guard. Only one gets out alive. What do I do with the 3 and the 5 inside? Yep. Well, since I'm stuck in jail and you're stuck in jail, we might as well party. You can be my buddy. I'm going to be here for a while. Now, that was one way to do it. The other way says I go to my perfect square list and I keep dividing until I get the magic number. It's all the way down here at 4 times 15. But since the square root of 4 is 2, I get the same thing anyway. 2 different ways to do it, 2 different ways to think of it. Okay? I would like you to try this one. Whether you break it up with find the biggest perfect square in it, or break it down by factor tree. Just try it. And let's see if we all get the same thing. Now, some of you have a scientific calculator that happens to simplify radicals. I need to see work, or I will never believe you and count it wrong. Okay? Weak. If you're going to let her buck, you got to at least pass a 4. I was like a 1.2. You have to rattle your own eyeballs to hit 8. Try it.
What if you rattled your whole head? Is that a 10?
I have only ever seen a 10 once in my life. You know that you can burp the word burp?
Yeah.
You can sneeze the word sneeze. True talent is can you fart the word fart?
Yes. I can make my own. I can make my
Come on.
fart on command.
75, get it.
That's how I've been getting the answers.
Well, that's not right. What's the square root of 25?
Square root of 25 is 5.
5 root of 3, not 2.
You find 5. So you did 5 and 15? Yeah. You can get another piece of paper. That's fine. Or you can just use my eraser.
Do you have like an ETA on when the tests are going to be?
Do I have a who?
Approximation. When the tests are going to be. Scores.
Oh, I'm either going to do this class and Algebra half tonight, or I'm going to do Algebra 2 tonight and do you guys tomorrow night. I'm on a grade-a-thon right now. I ripped through about 60 pre-calc tests last night. So it wasn't the greatest, but whole family was sick for like a week and a half, so I'm behind on stuff. Okay. When you get really good with these, y'all got your perfect square list. You got a calculator. What's a perfect square below 75? 75 divided by 64. Does it work?
No.
49?
No.
36?
No. I did 25.
25?
Yes.
Yes. The reason I'm working my way down like that is I want to find the biggest perfect square that goes in there. And since this can be rewritten as square root of 25 by 3, well, what is the square root of 25? 5. Right? This.
So basically, so each number you go down, that's how much you multiply the 25 by. So
Once I found 25 was the biggest perfect square that went in there, I know 25 times thing is how I'm going to break up 75.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And that's it. Like, that's my answer.
So this makes sense.
5 square root of 3. Now, those are the way that you're going to do it if A, you don't mind pressing buttons a bunch on your calculator, guessing, checking, or you're really good with your mental math. This is how we do it in Algebra 2, pre-calc and all of that. If I just toss square root of 48 on the board because it was part of our calculations, everyone just has enough experience with it that they just slam 4 square root of 3. They just know it. Okay? Just like if I asked you right now, what is 0.33333333 as a fraction? 1/3. You've seen that enough times that you just know it now. Okay? If you don't just know it, you do this. You say, what times what makes 75? Well, I know that 5 goes in there, right? It ends in a 5 or a 0. And I get 5 times 15. 15 is 3 and 5. And every time I run into a prime, that's the end of my branch. So I know I can rewrite this now as the square root of 5 by 5 by 3. Do I see a pair of things in there? So I circle the 5s, they rush the guard, only one gets out alive. Who prefers the left way, writing the branches, writing it out? Everyone's got different flavor, okay? Who says I would rather poke buttons on my calculator and do it blue way?
Sometimes.
It depends, right?
Yeah, sometimes when I do it.
They're both correct. And I will never force you to do it one way or the other. You do the way that makes sense for you. Okay? Now, look at the row below that. Ooh, nope, nope, nope. Do it again. That's a big number. Do it again. Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you do it? Some kids prefer writing it out. Other kids would rather one-shot it. Yeah. Do you want to chase your opponent down? Snipe, 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 pink, pink, pink. Or would you rather go find the big bazooka and then just nuke that entire building?
Nuke that entire building.
Okay. These are different ways. Do you want to chip away at it with the factor tree? Or would you rather search for the bazooka and then kaboom?
Are you trying to use
I
one of
prefer the
these?
most destructive way.
I was
Nope.
thinking
Sorry.
this is
I changed my.
Everyone gets their own flavor. An attention getter.
Okay, that didn't work. What's another one? What do you do some guesses?
No.
Okay.
Okay. What is a number that I know goes into 162?
81.
Oh. Well, they went straight for it. Okay, 9, 18, 81. Like, they all go in there. What if I didn't know any of that? I see it ends in a 2.
So divided by 2.
I know it's divisible by 2, right? And then you find 81. What if you were a lazy turd that didn't write down your perfect squares, and you don't know that 81 is a perfect square? Well, you keep going. What times what makes 81? 9 and 9. 9 is 3 and 3. So I could rewrite this whole honking thing as square root of, go to the ends of the branches, and write those. 2 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. Do I see any pairs?
Yeah.
A pair of 3s, they rush the guard. One gets out.
Touchdown.
There's another pair of 3s. Another 3 gets out. What do I do with those 3s? Right? Just like if there's more than one thing left in radical jail, you multiply them together. If there's more than one thing on the outside, you multiply them together. So I smash those together and I get 9 square root of 2. 3 times 3 was 9 last time I checked. Okay? Or if you had said 162, all right, look at my perfect square list. 144. 162 divided by 144. No. 121. No. 100. No. God, this is 81. Ooh. 81 times 2. Oh, wait. That was right there. And you say, what is the square root of 81? 9. You see how it's still the same thing? It depends. It's a personal preference. Do you want to write it out? Or do you want to guess and check a bunch on your calculator? They're both equally correct. Both are going to get you there. All right. Square roots are kind of like mathematical Vegas. What happens in radical land stays in radical land. What happens at the family reunion stays at the family reunion. Right, Braden?
Yeah.
At least that's how you end up with sister cousins and cross-eyed folks with 3 toes and all that in Alabama. So, if I see the square root of 3 times the square root of 6, it's the square root of 3 times 6. They're both in radical land. What is 3 times 6?
3 times 6 is 18.
Okay. And then simplify that.
9.
We know that a 9 goes in there, right? 9 by 2. 9 is a perfect square.
3.
The square root of 9 is 3. So this is 3 square root of 2. That's one way to do it. When I was right here, I could have just left it like this and instead side quest 3 times, maybe I break up 6 into 3 times 2. You see that? If I knew that 3 times 6 was 18 and 18 was not my perfect square, maybe I just don't multiply them together when I write it. Maybe I just keep breaking them up. Because now I see a pair of 3's. So 1 comes out. Square root of 9 is 3. Pair of 3's, 1 comes out. I should say it if I'm going to write it. I should write it if I'm going to say it. But it's been a long week. Okay. Try it again. They're both in radical land, so I'm going to throw them both in radical land. What are both those numbers?
2 times 5.
But what do we call them? They're both prime, right? Well, if all of my numbers are prime, that means I can't break them up anymore. I don't see a pair of things, so I can't take anyone out of radical jail. And when I multiply them, I just get 10, and that's just it. Since there's no perfect square that goes into 10, that just is my answer. Sometimes the simplest it gets is still pretty ugly. Okay? Life lesson there. The more you know. Sometimes it just doesn't matter how much you want to simplify it. It's just that ugly.
Like a woman.
That is misogyny and ignorance combined right there. That says I have not taken the time to actually talk to women because I fear them.
Mm-hmm.
If you treat other people like human beings, it's amazing what you'll find out instead of this is a piece of meat. Five by 10. 50. Is 50 one of my perfect squares? So I'm just going to leave it like this and say, can I break up 5?
No, they can break up 10.
Into what?
2 No, 2 and 5.
You okay if I write it as 5 and then 2?
That's what I would guess.
Because I see a pair of 5's. 1 comes out. Now I can do it that way, or if I had actually jammed them together to square root of 50, could I have written that as 25 by 2? And then The square root of 25 is 5. Still the same thing. Different ways to do it. They're both correct. You do which one you're comfortable with. I really do not care, and I will not make any distinction between the two methods when you do a quiz, a daily quiz. Hand in a paper, ask me a question. It's all correct. You just got to pick the right way. Or the right way. You got to pick the right answer. There we go. Words are hard. All right. Down here. You know what? I'm going to do the middle ground. I'm going to do the middle ones. There we go. Now, y'all remember square root of 9, right? We did ones like this before, where if I have 9 and x to the 4th, these were last time. The square root of 9 is 3. What was the square root of x to the 4th? X to the 2nd. We cut it in half. There's no one left in radical jail. So don't write the radical. That's it. But sometimes you can take some stuff out and other stuff stays in. 300. I can break it up. What times what makes 300? No, 3 and 100, right? Well, 3 is one of my primes. How do I break up 100? 2 and 50, okay. 2 is a prime. Okay. And then 5 and 5. So, if I were to write this out longhand, I have a 2, a 2, a 3, a 5, a 5. 2, 2, oh, 2, 2, 3. A to the 4th, isn't that just 4 A's? A. Like a Canadian recently hit with an electrical current. Okay. Do I see any pairs in there? Every time you run across a pair, take it out. 2, 5, A's, A's. So, everyone that got out of radical jail, go have a party. 2 times 5 is 10. A times A is A squared. And then, poor little 3 is just stuck there. The background music starts up. Everybody hurts sometimes. He's just stuck there in radical jail all by himself. Okay? I forgot to do 9? No, I didn't. I said I was going to do the middle 4.
The middle 4.
Okay. I wrote this one out the long way. I don't need to write it out the long way. Check this out. What if I went all the way back to the beginning and I said, what's a perfect square under 300? Okay, what is the perfect square closest to 300, but under it?
156.
Further. 289. Yep. 289. I try it. It doesn't work. Now go to 256. It doesn't work. Keep going. 225 doesn't work. 196 doesn't work. 169 doesn't work. 144 doesn't work. 121 doesn't work. But then 100 works. 100 times 3 specifically. And a to the fourth is already even. So I can say the square root of 100 is 10. The square root of a to the fourth is a squared. You see how much faster it is if you know your numbers. Now, if I see 300, I see double zeros on there. I know that 100 goes into it. 100 is a perfect square. I'm going to break it up. Okay? So now we're doing it with the variables too. I would like you to do those two. Get Shrek'd, Landon.
Done. Can I go into my
What's up? Go for it. Yeah. Okay, whichever method you prefer. Now, if you were looking at my answer key, my answer key is going to look like this. And that's it. Because I recognize that 4 and a squared are both perfect squares anyway. I could have written it out as 2 by 2 by a, and said a 2 comes out and a comes out. Both of them are equally correct. This one If I know off the top of my head that that happens to be 64 by 2 by c to the 6th. If I'm good with my perfect squares, or I guess and check with my calculator, I can find the biggest one like this. Square root of 64 is 8. Square root of something to the 6th is something to the 3rd. 8c in the 3rd is square root of 2. I'm just done. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone's willing to press buttons like that. So maybe instead, you deciding to write it out. You said, well, I don't know what, but I know it's divisible by 2. I don't know what, but it's divisible by 2. I don't know what, but it's divisible by 2. I don't know what, but it's divisible by 2. I don't know what, but it's divisible by 2. Oh, hey, I know that one. It's a power of 2. This is 2 to the 7th. If I were to write this out longhand, this whole honking thing, it's 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 C's. Womp! Look at that whole thing.
That's a lot of work.
Okay. We say the magic words. That's a lot of work. If I get my truck stuck,
You gotta
do I want to get out and push?
No, but you have to.
Do I want to hop up on there and crawl to the back and grab the bag of sand that I keep in there just so I can throw it under the tires, get some traction?
No.
Am I going to do it so I'm not stuck anymore?
Yep.
If I'm stuck and I got no friggin' clue how to do this, I can always do this. It will get me unstuck. Do I want to pay for the tow? No. I'll do the work myself because I'm cheap. Because I'm a teacher. They pay us some peanuts and insults. Okay? So I say a 2 comes out. A 2 comes out. A 2 comes out.
Okay.
A C comes out. A C comes out. A C comes out. Multiply all the stuff that's on the outside. 8C in the 3rd. It's still the same thing, right? So either way works. Not quite. Oh yeah, we can. We can. Right? Almost. We'll cut her off there. Here's how this works on Monday when you come back. We're going to do that bottom row of 4 and then flip it over and I'm going to set you loose. We'll have time in class to work. Okay? Wednesday we'll do our second quiz. Whatever you got is what you got at that point. Either tonight or tomorrow I will have all of your grades in. Yo.